Gareth Southgate is rumoured to be of interest to Ineos Sport, the new group that's taken over the footballing department at Manchester United, if, and it's a very big if, they decide to move on from Erik ten Hag at the end of the season. So, and that of course would mean that Southgate moves on from England. So would it be a good decision for Gareth Southgate, and would it be a good decision for Manchester United? Danny, what do you think?
I think it would be a decent decision. And I think you have to look at the bigger picture of Manchester United. Dan Ashworth has worked with Gareth an awful lot, has been around and was at the younger ages of England. They've been very, very close for some time, the whole St George's Park project and everything else. They know each other very, very well. Dan Ashworth is no fool. He's one of the best sporting directors, technical directors, whatever you want to call him. In that role, he's absolutely superb. He started with Roy Hodgson at West Brom. No one really had a sporting director at that time. And I know a lot of people give Roy a little bit of stick about certain things, but his football knowledge is incredible. So he will have learnt an awful lot from that. And look, everywhere Dan Ashworth's gone, it's gone very, very well.
Yeah.
You know, it's simple. So he's a very, very good operator in that space. What do Manchester United need? They need somebody that can deal with the pressure. There's no greater pressure than being England manager. Somebody that can deal with the media. Somebody that is good with players. That's really important. Gareth can do all those things. People will talk about, well, it didn't happen at Middlesbrough. He's 36 years old. He's effectively a player coach. It's very, very difficult, you know, when you do that role. And then he had to sell players and get rid of players and slash the budget and everything else. So you can't really judge somebody on their first couple of seasons as a manager when you're going through all that. And there's a massive, steep learning curve. At 36 years old, you know, finishing, you know, he still had a year's left on his playing contract and decided not to take it up. Went, no, I don't want to be player manager. I was going to try this all-out management. So that stick to beating with the Middlesbrough thing, I don't really agree with. People will talk about maybe in-game management. Well, we lost to Croatia because they were better than us. I've always said that, no matter what. We lost to a very, very good Italy team on penalties. Could have easily gone either way. If Harry Kane scores his penalty against France, we all expect him to, we probably go on and win that game because momentum is with us and who knows what can happen. You talked about earlier saying that Jurgen Klopp is a fantastic manager because he gets to semi-finals and he gets to finals. Gareth's got England to semi-finals and finals that no other manager has ever done. Some of the greatest, Capello, Sven, who is, you know, people with track records that have done fantastically well. So even to get this England team to those players, he's clearly got something. He changed the tactics in the Euros when he put Trippier left wing back, I believe. And everyone went, what are you doing? In his first World Cup, he played Kyle Walker centre-half. So he's clearly got tactical awareness. But as the manager, head coach of Manchester United, that's not just the only important role. The role underneath that, his coach, is vitally important. Sir Alex Ferguson had some of the best coaches in the world work underneath him. Sir Alex wasn't the greatest coach of all time, but he picked some of the greatest coaches to be his number two. Mourinho, similar. Look at the coaches that Mourinho had under his wing and the people that learnt from that. Superb coaches. So let's say it's Steve Holland. Very, very good coach. Everybody speaks very, very highly of him. Very, very experienced. He would be the main coach. He would be the one on the pitch doing the stuff day in, day out. Gareth would be more of an old-fashioned type manager, you know, overseeing things, asking his coach, asking his number two to do a lot of the work. So on that basis, why wouldn't it work?
I just don't think he's good enough. It's
but you don't
simple
know.
as that.
But you don't know. He's better, he's better than what you've had.
I'm not sure about that, to be perfectly honest. I wouldn't say he's better than Erik ten Hag right now, to be perfectly honest. And I haven't seen Erik ten Hag do unbelievable things. It's easy to look at the lens of he's done well with England.
You pick?
Hold on. It's easy to look at the lens of what Gareth Southgate's done with England and think, fantastic. Yes, England have done very, very well. International football has not been a vintage. So when you talk about other managers in international football haven't done as well, they definitely had. It was a different era for international football. There were definitely stronger teams throughout international football than there are right now. That's the truth. Germany aren't very good. The Netherlands aren't very good. Italy aren't very good. They don't even get to tournaments.
In that case,
Brazil aren't what they used to be.
Your era of Jurgen Klopp, Europe hasn't been particularly strong. Barcelona have been way off the boil.
You can argue
Bayern
that.
Munich have gone.
Yeah,
Italian football has gone.
You can argue that, but you said he wasn't in the top 10 coaches of the last decade. No, you said he wasn't in the top 10 coaches of the last decade, which is a slightly different argument. But I don't.
I've named a load.
And by the way, I would still consider myself to be a fan of Gareth Southgate, but I feel international football is very, very different to club football. You do not see a raft of really high-quality club coaches in international football for a reason. Firstly, they're in higher demand for club football and they're going to get paid more, and I get that.
But he's taken an unusual path.
Okay, I get it. And I'm not saying that he couldn't be a successful coach in club football, but I think the job at Manchester United is a very specific one right now. You need someone who's going to rebuild the team. You need someone who's going to play a style of football.
But that's not Gareth's job. Rebuilding the team is Dan Ashworth's job.
I still think tactically he needs to rebuild the team on
that's
the
Dan
pitch.
No, that's Dan Ashworth's job.
No, it's all good getting new players, but he still has to. He needs to mould the team on the pitch.
So you don't think the players that he's been exposed to from England under 16, 17s that Phil Foden was in, all the way through, you don't think he knows what those good players look like? Dan Ashworth doesn't know. So between the two of them, you couldn't say, well, actually, they know what a good team looks like. The scouting network that Dan Ashworth had, that he set up at Brighton, for instance, you don't think they can pull in good players from elsewhere?
No, I'm not saying that he won't have good players. I'm just describing what I think the job at Manchester United is.
But that's not Gareth's role.
He's not there to mould the squad in terms of names.
But it's not.
He's there to mould the team on the pitch.
But he won't be in charge of recruitment.
No, he won't be.
That won't be down to him at all.
He won't be, and he won't have as good a team as he's got at England. That's a fact.
Oh, I don't know.
No, he won't. He won't. Look at the players that England have right now. You think Manchester United are going to have... If they are, he's going to be the Man United boss for a while, because they've got Harry Kane, one of the best strikers in the world. They've got Phil Foden. They've got Bukayo Saka. They've got Jude Bellingham. They've got Declan Rice at England. They've got John Stones at England. Carl Walker.
Man United have got some good players.
They are, but they're not going to have a team with players like that in it anytime soon.
Yeah, but they're also not going to be playing against France.
No, they're going to be playing against tougher opposition.
They're not going to be playing against Italy. No, they're not.
You don't think Manchester City are better than France? You don't think Liverpool are better than France? Of course
no. Liverpool aren't better than France.
They are.
Liverpool are not better than France.
They absolutely are.
They are.
As a team who trains together every single day, who plays every single weekend.
If France played together every single day, they'd be way better than Liverpool.
Well, maybe, but I'm talking about France. I'm not talking about a France that is together every single day. I'm talking about France, and they're not together every single day.
They're still better than Liverpool.
They're not together every single day. I don't think they are better than Liverpool. Right, we can argue about that, but I do think to get to the top of the tree in the Premier League is going to be tougher than getting to the top of the tree.
But that's for anybody.
In international football.
That's for anybody at Manchester United.
I know that.
So who goes into Manchester United and does a better job?
Had he got to the top of the tree in international football, we might be having a different conversation.
Would you
but
take,
he hasn't succeeded
Xabi
there.
Alonso?
Possibly.
Why only possibly?
Ex-Liverpool.
All right, forget about the Liverpool connection. Do you think Xabi Alonso is the best young manager around at the moment?
I don't think he's the best, but he's one of them for sure.
Because he's had one good season.
But I think the person that takes over at Manchester United needs to be a young manager with very high potential, because I think they're a long way off being a truly competitive side.
You can't go into Manchester United with potential.
Why?
So Jim Ratcliffe is not going to go and, you know what, I've just spent, billion on 25% of the club. I'm going to think about potential.
But Liverpool
He's gone and bought...
They might be happy too.
He's gone and
Why
bought
not?
the best football operator, technical director. He's nicked the guy from City. He's gone and got all the best people. He's not going to then put an apprentice in charge of the team.
You claimed that Jurgen Klopp had done nothing in Germany. Liverpool gave him the job. Turned out all right.
But Liverpool had done nothing for years before that.
Potential.
They'd done nothing.
High potential.
What had Liverpool won before that?
But you said a manager from Germany. You mentioned Xabi Alonso. He's in Germany right
now.
He's had
one season.
You're claiming he's done nothing. You also claimed earlier that Jurgen Klopp had done nothing.
Xabi Alonso has had one season.
But he could get the Liverpool job and be a fantastic manager for them.
It could also be a disaster.
Yeah, but that's the same for any manager.
But Manchester United are not going to put an apprentice in. Look what happened when Potter went to Chelsea.
Then? You think he's a master now, is he?
Not at all, but he's had a lot more experience at managing than some of these other than Xabi Alonso has.
We're going to take your calls on it. We're going to keep the conversation going. 03717 2233 44. Danny thinks he would be a good fit for Manchester United. That's fair to say.
Yeah. Tell me why he's not a good fit.
Okay, well, that's what he's laid down the gauntlet there. Let's get to
I'm
your
not saying he's
calls.
the greatest manager on the planet, but tell me why he's not a good fit.
Remel is an Aston Villa fan. Let's get started on this. Good evening.
How you doing, lads? You right?
I'm doing okay. You're not a Manchester United fan, so I'm really interested on your take on this.
Yes, because I've had this debate many times with people about Southgate. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and stick to the key points as much as possible because I know I'm on a limited time. And try and get as much across as I possibly can.
Get to it then, Remel.
My point on Southgate is this. Number one, we judge Southgate on how many finals he's got us to and how well we've performed at tournaments. And we compare him to other England managers that haven't necessarily got that far. The first point I wanted to make is that the reason why a lot of other England managers haven't got that far is because, yes, they've had better teams player for player, because arguably you'd take your Lampards, your Gerrards, your Rooneys over what we've got right now. But the cohesion was never there. Because the club rivalries were so fierce back then, it was a lot harder to get a cohesive England team.
No, they weren't. No, that's not true. That's not true. I was in that dressing room. That's not true.
Well, if you were in the dressing room, fair enough. But at the same time, you look at the results on the pitch and they weren't quite there, and you can't just put that down to tactics. Because Southgate, as much as he's a good man manager, I haven't really seen enough of him to say that he's a tactical manager, somebody that you would look at to change a game tactically. But he's had plenty of opportunities to do that, and he hasn't done it.
I agree with that.
I would say he's had two opportunities. He's been judged on 2 games.
Key games. This is what you get
He's
judged
been judged on 2 games. Croatia, in which we got beat by a better team.
1-0 up.
And
Italy 1-0 up at Wembley, because these are the games where you're going to be judged.
But
people expect you to go on and win those games. The decisions.
So let's judge
decision
Klopp
making.
then. Let's judge Klopp when he lost Champions League.
The decision making, I've got to say, in that final against Italy,
but you can't.
The substitutions, it was all over the place. So you're going to get judged on that. You've got a very limited number of games as England boss to be judged on, and those key matches, ultimately, that's your CV.
So the first tournament he was in, we got to a semi-final.
Mm-hmm.
Euros, you lose on penalties.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been his whole career, whether he's a good manager, is judged on a penalty kick.
Whether he is the manager to be coaching one of the biggest clubs in the world as they try and rebuild themselves up to Premier League contenders and Champions League contenders, that's the question in front of us. Not whether he should be getting a decent job in football. This is the biggest job probably in the country. Anyway, Liam, Manchester
United fan.
Well, I said probably. Liam is a Manchester United fan. Ramel, thank you for your call. Liam, what do you think?
Hi guys, how you doing?
Good,
very,
thanks.
very well. Except for being with Danny for the last couple of hours.
I understand the speculation. It's not been a good season by any stretch of the imagination, but I just truly believe the right man's in the right place. I think the football's not been great at times, but when you've got key men that fits his style of football that aren't in the team, like Martin as a centre-back, then you can see the disruption that it causes. And I think with the new structure that's above him and the new director of football, the new leader of recruitment, I think one more season for Ten Hag, I don't see why.
I've never said Ten Hag's a bad manager. I've never said I think he should get the sack, by the way. I've always thought he's a good coach, and what he's done in the past is a good body of work.
But if the club, Liam, were to make a change and it was Gareth Southgate, would you back it or would you be against it?
It wouldn't be my first choice. Who is my first choice is a great question, but it wouldn't be Gareth Southgate. I think managing England is obviously a high pressure job. It's like Manchester United, but I think it's completely different. It's international football and club football, and I don't think they're comparable.
So who would you pick?
Oh, that's a question. I honestly don't think there's anyone out there.
And that's the point. So if Ten Hag goes, who would be a better fit?
I think you'd have to look at maybe De Zerbi at Brighton.
He's not won a game for. He won 2 games in like 16 games.
It's not a bad choice. It's not a bad choice. Just saying.
Graham Potter. How'd that go at Chelsea?
Is he a worse manager than Gareth Southgate? Graham Potter.
Sorry?
Graham Potter, is he a worse manager than Gareth Southgate? Yeah. I don't see it.
From how he's done at Chelsea and the club football, we're talking about club football.
Well, in that case, Mauricio Pochettino's a worse manager than Gareth Southgate. He's having a torrid time at Chelsea.
What's he won?
No, but I'm just so what's Gareth Southgate won out of interest? I mean, what's the point in mentioning
but again,
that?
you get as an international manager, you get one chance every 2 years to win something.
Okay, all right. Well, there's no point mentioning it.
Pochettino gets 5 opportunities a season.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.